Hello and welcome back to Take the Throne Week 7, where it's HypHypHyp to take on the winner of the qualifying best of one worst players versus Team Turkey. Of course, it was Team Turkey to take the top spot on that one, but now they have to try and mount the throne. My name is John Allen. With me is Ryan, and we're going to be getting into this best of three, starting out with Ascent.
It's going to be interesting. We have a new map. We have a new team that we haven't really seen all that much of. It's going to be pretty explosive. But if you're HypHypHyp, you're feeling pretty good that you beat Fish123 last week, first of all. And secondly, a couple of their players had a really good stint in the G2 tournament. Korea, who is their pretty much one-trick omen, was on the winning team for all of that. So, he's probably feeling pretty good about his play and stuff. And wanted to again show that he's available with his team for pickup and want to sort of turn a few heads. It's the biggest test for them. Can they retain their lead? Can they retain the crown and prove that they are, one of the better teams in Europe?
That's what you do, when you first ascend to the throne, you're going to have a lot of people thinking, is this guy going to be able to do it? Like, are they going to be able to rule the roost? And you've got to lay down the law sometimes, and hopefully they're going to be able to put the smack down. Well, hopefully for them, they'll be able to put the smack down on Team Turkey. But we saw in the last game, Team Turkey do have a couple of tricks up their sleeve.
I'm really interested to see what lineups they run, whether it's a bit different on Ascent, because I don't think we've seen either of these teams really play that much on this map. Not a lot of teams like to play on this map, so it's interesting that it was picked up straight away. So excited to see where this goes, and it's a best of three, so there's more maps to come, at least for sure. But it does seem that it is a fairly standard lineup for HypHypHyp, who are defending first. Hip is going to be playing on the Reyna, and pretty much exactly what we saw before from Team Turkey, other than the fact now that there's going to be a Reyna on their side too.
All right, okay, some disparities coming in, and see what they're able to do. The mid of Ascent is so open, and it's prone to sort of making sure if you have mid control, you can go anywhere you want, and so having that at the start of the round can be highly beneficial on the attacking side. The question is, can you take it? Because it's such a difficult, tricky angle check set to make sure that you have that control. But over towards the A site, a little bit of pressure being felt. However, Law is there, boosts up with the wall, tries to get the classic shots in, but doesn't really get too much more. Jumps over, looking around the Omen bubble, but it's Korea the full first. Mintez able to take that one back. Fury as well as getting the overheal. So plenty of HP, reveals the area of Law, finds one, takes out the corner, finds the second, but it's traded out in kind. Now it's 2 versus 3, Ryan.
And the 3 members of Team Turkey are so low, the Sage clearly not having heal, otherwise she'd use it on herself, so the spray's going to be easy. Just a full health Reyna now on the attack. The Spike is in control of Hip, and Mintez has it all to do.
Does have 86 HP now. He'll run out, not quite able to land all the shots with the Fury. Very close to winning it there, but in the end it was Hip with that overheal to make the pistol round happen for HypHypHyp, and they claim 1-0.
Turbulent round to bring us back. It felt like it could have gone either way. A lot of aggressive peaks and a lot of action towards A. Let's see how Pettiscale plays this up. Mixed up his lineup a little bit. He's giving his ghost to one of his teammates. Saying what I've seen here, John. It's like a nature documentary, really, at this point.
Take out Cypher's
and Hip are the alpha male, at least hoping so, and want to make sure that they rule the roost still.
Certainly beating their chest.
Revealing area.
Early on, but still plenty of a way to go in this best of 3. First round, too early to call things. Korea holding close underneath the balcony there, goes for the paranoia, turns, beautifully done. Will not get spotted out either, has that teleport available. You can see this guy knows exactly how he's playing the Omen. Able to find yet another with the ghost before he gets taken down. HypHypHyp gonna be happy with that start to the defense on the A site. Turns the corner, spots out one, but gets traded out. Unfortunately, Pettiscale is there. Be able to shut down the rest of them. 2 kills found on the attack, but it's 2-0 up for HypHypHyp.
I really like how Korea played that by just sitting back, using the paranoia and get to frag. He does die eventually afterwards, but he's just the one to spot out that that's the execute Turkey going for, and Hip have been amazing on these rotates to come to the rescue. And they had the gun advantage, of course, but now an operator in play from the Omen main on the side of HypHypHyp. We're yet to see Team Turkey really shine, but now that they can afford all Vandals, you expect to see what they can do from here on out.
Spike drop over towards B, but the Owl drone will lead them in. Checking those close corners, those close angles. Spots one in the boathouse. Now they have the info on where the Cypher's playing. No mid control found just yet, but they're playing pretty up close and personal on the A side as well. Pretty slow so far from Team Turkey. They haven't got a lot of openings to play with. When you walk into crosshairs like that, it's not going to go your way.
You mentioned it yourself, just there's very little room to breathe for this team, so they have to make these engagements, and kind of unluckily they went right into an operator. Law's about to snatch a few more potentially if they decide to push through mid, but they're rotating towards B, which seems hunkered down by the Cypher and the Rain of Crossfire. And I think this Silver Arrow is going to give away their intentions, which I think only really lines up into what HypHypHyp want to happen.
They're just slowing it down, and in fact, they've actually managed to get a full flank on. There is a trap wire there, but up goes the Lear, and trying to find out anyone. Unfortunately, when you're that close, you're still going to be able to be seen. And there's the crossfire you were talking about, Ryan. They just walk straight into it, and they are blitzed apart.
And I think this is something that we didn't really get to see from worst players before. Like, because of the patient play that Team Turkey have, worst players kind of froze. It's like, all right, we don't need to do anything. But actually, we're seeing sort of the opposite from HypHypHyp. It's like, okay, they're not mid. I'm going to push this aggressively, scout out all this intel. And before Team Turkey know it, they're completely surrounded in their position and intentions given up completely. So it's going to be another half buy for them, really. Save 2k, hope for the best. The Team Hyp are showing their dominance very early on in this game.
They made a little bit of a misstep pushing in so close to the cubby because the Lear was fully blinding Hyp there. But unfortunately for them, if you're close enough, you do just get spotted anyway, and they walk right into those crosshairs. Push out a little bit further towards Boathouse, and there's no refrag potential. You do go 1-for-1, however, and there's that refrag potential. Too last though, and Buddy Scale on this A site is immovable. 3 kills found. He's cleaned up the eco frags.
Q-Rax might want to save the gun, save the ultimate. Is going to walk into the crossfire of Law, who sort of floods his lines a little bit. Q-Rax is able to get a lot happen, but Hyp is the one that puts that to bed. Stop it before you start getting us all hyped up. Twitch chat going crazy for Turkey. I'm sure everybody's going to be a little bit quieter now, as this is the dominance that you sort of expect to see out this team, but there's much more Valorant yet to come before we can even say Team Hyp keep their crown.
They need to try and figure something out, though, because they're now 4-0
yes,
on the attacking side, and they're not really finding any openings. They've got 5 kills on their solo, but really no one else having a shout in this game so far.
That goes there.
Some brutal traps from Putty Scale as well. He's making it so hard for them to push full face in towards A. Not really trying to take control of mid. I said right at the start of the game, Ryan, that mid is such a crucial part of this map, and they really haven't invested anything into trying controlling it.
And it's so difficult when you have to run into Law and Kree. Law especially, it's always the Sage players, man. I'm telling you, like, they're always just completely nutty and just crazy at the same time. Like, who holds this angle and then goes, actually, I'm going to aggressively push this and probably going to get the frag. See? Who does that?
Goodness me. Traded 1-for-1, though. Even now on the round, Paranoia is there and just teleports out to the other side. So, could be giving them the old slip, but I think they're going to be able to even phase into that. Teleport straight back across, so again, hold.
The hunt begins.
Nicely done. We'll get spotted out and trying to hold face for the amount of time that he can. Looks like he's going the other way around, but it's now Buddy Skell up to bat. We've seen how well he can do on this A site. Will have the cam, and they are trying to hold down these off angles. Pora pushes in aggressively around the back, and now Buddy Skell has to be worried. He's playing towards the back of A site, so has some cover from the balcony. But Pora has cut off these rotates. They trade 1-for-1, and again, he strikes from around the sidelines. Hyp now solo, trying to hold it down. Spike gets planted.
Hyp has so much to do there. Pora was exceptional right then. Just cuts off the supply line. Doesn't take the engagement against Hyp on the rain. He's like, I'm just going to disengage for a second. Then completely catches off Fear off as he's rotating around. I Maybe they can't go up against them pound for pound when it comes to just the hardcore mechanical skill as some of these amazing ex-Counter-Strike players and even ex-Overwatch players. But that was great game sense and map control, and really was a fun and hip side. They need to be careful. Like I mentioned, it's not done yet. Team Turkey have a lot more aces in their sleeve that no doubt HypHypHyp haven't seen before. Have you not seen this boost?
It's pretty nasty over towards the mid cubby, and I said they weren't really investing any control into mid, but I stand corrected now. They are trying to get a watch at it, but they're not doing anything.
Oh no!
I mean, and when you miss shots, I mean, fair enough. Like that's just missed shots. That's unfortunate, and it happens. But you can't really miss 2 in a row as well. You had ample opportunity to land that, so
that's
not
law
really
for you
starting out
too.
very well.
No, not at all. But I think this is what I wanted to see out of Hyp if we're really breaking down the team. Okay, they beat Fish 1-2-3, but Fish 1-2-3 are not the same team anymore. Regardless of where Ardis goes or what the hell happened, they just didn't look like the team that we know and expect and love.
Ouch.
Pora is able to make sure that Law can't get any more damage done. There's still more to do in this round. It's not over just yet. So here's me monologuing about HypHypHyp. There's still more games to play.
Exactly
The neural theft is going to be used in a very aggressive manner, increased position and giving up.
Cover going out.
Yeah, but at the same time, they haven't got a foothold towards either side. Will get revealed. They'll know where they are, and with the door closed, they're going to break that and give the game away even further. Laura does a check and lands double headshot on the spray. They didn't have any time left either. And really, even though they managed to get that pick, it just was such a lost cause. So I think maybe your monologue was relatively justified there, Ryan.
I think the only thing to really say to round it up is Hyp exploited a team that is now weaker. Does that make them a better team, you know? Like, they could just lose out this round to somebody else very quickly. Certainly both West players and Team Turkey that we haven't seen an awful lot of and you wouldn't consider to be top 5 teams in the region. But they're holding their own. They're showing that they are dominant. And so far, really, I think they're justifiable kings for this and justifiably a top 5 team in the region. Maybe even higher.
This is a masterclass, really, so far. Korea as well, just so dynamic on this operator. Empress being activated. He goes for the Lear around the corner, trying to control these angles.
Take flight.
This is their push into mid. They split A before, and it worked out beautifully as they cut off those lines. Lands the dart, and we'll be able to spot them out even further. The shock dart is in, and they're floating towards the heavens, but unfortunately he's a little bit lower than that. 1-for-1 on the trade. So they get the overheal. Law finds another, pushes in, 2 of the lineup. Law shuts it down, plays them out. And they do get the trade. 2 players now standing with the orbital strike. Displaces the rest of them. So they can isolate these fights. 2 players on the inside. Make that 1, make that none. As Putty Skell holds down the A side.
Petty Scal's had a great game so far. Just an absolute masterclass playing the Cypher, changing up the positioning, even putting smart trap-wise in mid, which we saw in the previous round, where he caught the rotation completely off guard. It was crazy, actually, to see that Petty Skull and Law were the 2 members of HypHypHyp that didn't play in the G2 tournament, which was more pickup groups, individual play. And sure, Hyp, Kriya, and Fearoff are good, but I think Law and Petty Skull are some of the standout members in this lineup, and what a standout performance from Petty Skull. 11 and 3 so far, and this A site is impenetrable. We haven't seen a plant go down.
I think the only time it worked was on the round that they won over on the A site, where Poro was able to get all the way towards the back and cut off those rotates. That's the only time they managed to get the spike down.
Cover going out.
Oh, right,
Hold it
yeah.
effectively.
I was thinking that they just outfragged it, but never mind. Like, Kriya's also putting that one to bed. There's a lot more pressure going on mid, so I'm interested to see how he handles this. He is a very smart player to make a character like Omen work. Omen's a lot better, obviously, since the buffs, but still shows how to play it.
I mean, bullets are better than pretty much everything else in the game. Despite the number of abilities being thrown out, it seems like Hyp are able to throw more lead towards Team Turkey than is happening vice versa, and it's just panning out for them. 7-1. This, quite frankly, Ryan, this is domination.
Team Turkey had a really close game against worse players. I can fully understand going up against a tough team like that, narrowly winning, where both teams are, you know, making narrow mistakes. Then going up to a team that's fully rested, feeling pretty good. You know, had a fun tournament this weekend, ready to sort of put in the grind. We haven't really seen them much at all in tournaments over the next couple of weeks, so this is the thing that they're solely focusing on right now, I feel, for this lineup. So understandable that they're taking it seriously and looking really good whilst doing it.
Nowhere to run!
Fury activated. Will put out 2. Looks for a second tag. They're going to be able to get it. All of them invested and only a little bit of damage done. Unfortunately, start the door though. Gets opened up towards, and mid now starting to be controlled. This is what I wanted to see from Team Turkey. Kriya doesn't hit that shot, uncharacteristic for him, but now they can split the A site. Finally, after 8 rounds, they seem to have figured it out. Iron. But is it too little, too late? Fearox goes more still cross, but will not be able to shut him down. However, pretty scale, a little bit better luck. Turns to find the trap wire and will get shut down for it. 2 players found, and now 2 players left for HypHypHyp on this retake. Door shut, spike down, and they open up the A site with a res.
Interested to see how Kree and Hip take this. The Empress was dedicated, so Hip is really wanting to go for it if possible, but there's so much to break down. Even the Cypher planting up stuff like it's a defense to hold off this retake. So I really don't think that HypHypHyp are going to dedicate to this too much. Try and get a few exit frags if possible. Hip's going for it, making some headway, but can only do so much damage to just Kriya left with the operator. He can't even save it. Can Turkey bring it back a little bit?
I mean, they should have plenty of money. They were 7-1 before that, so they'll be able to rebuy into this round. Yeah, there's the operator being fought as well by Fearox this time around. Are they going to go double operators? I think they might be. Okay, fair enough. Let's see where they're able to hold with that. It looks like Kriya's going to relocate over towards the A site. We saw this on the pistol, and it looks like he's going to go for aggressive peeking over towards A.
There's a defensive stack waiting on B though. Might play this super aggro. Kriya's gonna hold the angle with the operator on A, so he's gonna spot a peek there preemptively and even gonna throw out the operator, but it's B I'm more curious about. There's a kill already for Petty Skell. Nerlfest shows up to where people are, but doesn't really give too much intel on where Team Turkey want to go considering the main players are in mid.
Will spot out the Cypher there. Just waiting for that one. Cross, Fearox shot. Oh, Kriya. Field goal on that. Will land the second shot, but could have done a lot more if he'd able to find the first. 2 kills found on the attack for Team Turkey now, as they have got control of the A. Unfortunately, though, they don't have the spike. It's not going to matter as Kirax finds the triple kill. Looking for another, but Turco is the one to find the headshot there onto Hip. 1 player left standing. It's Law. He's playing sneaky beaky at the back of A site. The door shut, but he's able to get that first frag. Looking for that res as well. Nicely bunny hopped across, and now the tables are turned. The spike is down, but it's 2 versus 1.
Turco's had a really quiet game so far and can't expect him to do much there. Really well played from Law. Got the frag, got out of there, got the res. Much like Kriya, pretty much exclusively plays Sage, and there's been a few cases of EU teams running without it so far, but I think just then you see why Sage is still a really good pick and why Law is one of the best Sages out there. I know I said that about Chuo and he had a really quiet game, so I'm not trying to jinx him. But it's these Sage players, man. They're just they're off it, completely off of it.
I mean, Sage is such a pivotal,
Can someone get this?
pivotal agent to have
Thank
in their
you.
roster. I mean, there's a reason why she's picked almost every single match. I think it was team last week, Ryan, who was the only kind of squad that doesn't play Sage. Everybody
Nick,
else is like, well, she's a must pick.
I saw Fabrican play without it as well. It tilts me. I don't know why. I think it's just like it doesn't make any sense, so I don't like it. It's kind of like anime, I guess, to some extent, for me at least. I don't understand it, so I don't like it.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's that's proper
Revealing
logic
area.
there, but
Nice.
we'll let it slide. It looks like Team Turkey, they are going to get slid out on towards B site, and they take so many frags. It's just not good. It's just not going their way.
I mean, expected, really. Yeah, Hip looked like a completely different team. And it's weird because a couple of weeks ago, Hip got knocked out of a tournament qualifying group by worst players. So it really isn't adding up. But I mean, time has passed since then. And I think over time, HypHypHyp looked like a completely different team, much stronger, more coordinated, better on the agents that they're playing. I aren't sure really if they are a team that plays together and scrims together consistently, or whether it's something like starting from CS or Prodigy, where it's a French pickup group. Who is available? Check on WhatsApp. All right, we'll play as a 5-stack and win tournaments. But these guys feel a lot more coordinated and look a lot better because of it.
Mitez goes for a jump peek with the operator around the corner. Crossfire. We'll be able to spot the first one onto the board, but there's still 2 more players standing. They're the one about the push around the corner as well. Able to find 1, find 2. This is the second time he's struck from that exact same cubby. Able to fade away as well and stay alive.
Open up the sky!
The orbital strike, they're going to zone away the heaven because no one's standing there. We'll be able to spot him as he jumps up and his 3 kills found for him. Mitez able to challenge. And they are shut down 10-2 on the half, and HypHyp. They just, well, dominate there. No mid-control found. Oh, well, on 2 rounds they found mid-control for Team Turkey, and guess which 2 those were?
What can you say if you're Team Turkey? It could be the map, it could be the team, it just could be the day. Like, it's hard to say really how close this game could be, but if you're HypHypHyp, you're feeling pretty good. I also feel really bad about my anime comment before, considering I really enjoyed Attack on Titan Season 3. Like, that was a hell of a tussle. Like,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the new season. I like burst through it. Like, all right, there's a season 4 trailer. I'm still yet to finish season 3 because it starts off super slow and politics.
I'll tell you what I am super excited for is One Punch Man, dude. I'm so ready for the next season.
I've only watched like the first couple of episodes. Parasite was good. My girlfriend's been watching a lot of Parasite, and I've been watching like vicariously through her, and that's also it's also very similar to Devilman Crybaby. But here I am slating anime, and I'm like listing off groups, but.
There you go. I mean, that's true boomer logic. So you don't understand something, but actually secretly be a big fan of it. I like it. I like it a lot. But HypHypHyp now looking for the peaks. They do go up high and actually get over the wall. This might bamboozle, confuse, and deceive their opponents, but they have got control. This is the mid control we were not really seeing before, but Pora able to spot out HypHyp close and personal. They're going to send him as well. Spiro finally able to get a response, but it's too little, too late. Maybe there's only 2 of them left alive.
Revealing area.
It's a slow one. Attack on Titan, more like Attack on Turkey. This Korea's going to make his way in. Gets an eye-touch shot to Rip, but Turco is the saving grace thus far. And actually, Team Turkey take a round.
Captain Levi living on in spirit in Team Turkey right now. They're
How much more can we do this, realistically?
absolutely. Honestly, I've got so many Attack on Titan puns. You don't even know. I cast with Blank a lot, and you know how much he likes his anime.
That's very true.
goes there.
Yeah. I'm looking for the names now and seeing if there's anything else I can bring up.
Well, that's how you want to start a half, right? On the pistol, you're
goes
10-2
here.
down. You need to be loading it up, and we'll see
Yes, this should.
what they are able
Cover
to get
going
all
out.
done. But at this stage, it's really
Cover going
unlikely.
out.
Only 1 round really needs to be found for HypHypHyp, and then at that stage, it's pretty much it, right? Like they're up to 11, and they can try and convert on the next round. But they're going mid again. Pushing in. First place here around the corner. We'll find out pretty much everyone. Able to fade away. Didn't take any damage. Lea's and Paranoia going back and forth to trade. Priya makes his way towards the heaven. Not really able to find too much damage. Down to 30 HP himself, and that Spectre doing a lot of work. As well as Pora on the flanks. They're just going to be able to shut it down. Mitez with a triple kill. Looking for the final nail in the coffin, but I think Law was AFK there on spawn.
He's yeah, really helping out his team there. He's just sort of set back.
He's gonna get back into it. Oh, maybe
He's
he's
still
having some-
alive.
Maybe he's having some connectivity issues. We'll have to wait and see. But 10 of 4, basically guaranteed to be coming on the cards at this point. We'll see what else they're able to find. I mean, it is a long road for Team Turkey, but you know, every journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step and all that. So, see what they're able to get.
Might be some technical issues, probably because Ninja and Shroud came back to Twitch and they weren't prepared for it. Man, like that's a heat death to say the least. Whilst and it's not confirmed that they're coming. Thanks, producer, telling us that
Yeah.
we don't have insider knowledge on Ninja and Shroud's dealings going on in the streaming world. Yeah, but we'll try and fix these problems, and I'm sure Team Turkey are doing a good job trying to fix theirs.
You've said it now, Ryan. It's pretty much confirmed. I mean, that's guaranteed, right? As
Exactly,
Soon as it's
like-
said on a stream, it is
I-
the truth.
I will message my friend Tyler, and we're friends, so I can call him Tyler, not Ninja. I don't know him. I don't know him at all.
You don't know him?
I've sat in a Zoom call with him. That's all I can say. And there was 400 people in that Zoom call. To be fair, because it was the announcement of this game. And somebody joked that there were more people in that Zoom call than there were watching him on Mixer, which is a dangerous joke to make now. But you know, 10-4 is the score.
Revealing area.
Goodness me. Paranoia sent in towards the B site as they do get spotted out by the recon dart. This is the round that hit one time, but it's not starting out their way. However, they do trade it back. T-Rex goes down. Mitters on the sidelines takes down Buddy Skell. It's now 3 players for HypHypHyp who need to push forwards, but they've been walled off in B main. They are going to get over it, however, as they do have the boost on the box to jump as well, and they can break it down. The trap wire gets activated, but not before Hip falls. Now 3 players standing. 2 players, sorry. They push through. The cyber cage gets triggered. Freer on the push. And Fearoth is found as well. Spectres winning out the day, and they're going to be able to pick up some pretty beefier rifles. That's going to save them a lot of moolah.
Saving a lot of money. It's going pretty well for them so far. Maybe it's just... I was going to say defender-sided, but I caught a snippet of an interview on ESPN with Fraud, who's the coach for T1. And he said that Ascent was attacking-sided. So I didn't catch why. That's probably the most... Why even mention it if you can't explain why? But I figured that was, you know, a coach thinks that this map is attacking-sided, yet the majority of maps have been taken on defense, at least in this game.
I think it's mainly to do with the mid format. It's so pivotal in this map, and you can get some really nice coordinated peaks going forwards to take control, and from there you can hit a site probably harder than anyone can deal with, unless you're stacking it pretty heavily. At which point you put your feelers out to B, and you can get it done there. So it is very, very tricky as defenders, but if you're not abusing the mid control, it's going to be pretty hard. But you can see already Kriya has pushed his way up towards that A site. We'll hear the cam, we'll break it down as well. There is a trap wire, but I think he spotted it out. And now this is what we wanted to see on the attack. Control of mid, they've got it. Now what they do with it.
Patience. I really like when this game is slowed down, that these mistakes can be magnified. Fearoth put a bit of pressure in there. The guns aren't great for HypHypHyp, but
Revealing area.
they are a person down, but they're making stuff happen. But there might be delaying the inevitable, it feels, at this point. Rip is holding an aggressive angle with the wall. And the rest of the defense is actually wrapping around nicely.
Aura has been so devastating with these flanks. Kriya, they were able to land a shot with the Marshal. They had to be worried about in mid. Up close personal. Turco just sprays them down. Beautifully done. Nice position. They find everything they're looking for. 10-6 now, and this is looking a little bit less one-sided than it once did, Ryan.
How is this map attacking-sided Fraud? Well, from this game it doesn't look it. It might just be an EU thing. Like, it's hard to say. I'm not quite sure which team actually picked this map to play, but I think it's thrown both teams for a curveball, really. None of them look that comfortable on it. Certainly not in comparison to what we saw with Team Turkey and Haven. It feels like you can't have that same familiarity, I suppose, with slowing down the game and going, I know I can control this area. It feels like the whole map just isn't comfortable for anybody to hold, so it's a very go kind of playstyle. I mean, look at that, for example.
However, that means Pora isn't on the flank. They go 1-for-1 on the trade. Hip opens up towards the A site. Lear is there, ducks behind cover, looks for the spray, but will not be able to suppress. Mitters, lovely flick there. 2 headshots found with the operator. Demolishes this push, and now it's just 2 players standing. They don't even have the spike, and that's what you want to see. On the holds, it was looking a little bit worrisome there, but Mitters pulls it out the bag.
Just Petty Scale now, just trying to get any damage in on the economy. He gets a nice shot there. If he can get the second one lined up onto Turco, he might have a chance, but unfortunately can't do that. Yeah, the last, 5 rounds have been all Turkey at this point? Well, I mean, actually, HypHypHyp have not won an attack round yet at all.
No, they are 5 rounds on the trot. You're right, Ryan. It's been Turkey all the way, and they are now up to 10-7. Certainly not what we expected at the side swap, but nonetheless, here we are. We'll have to play the hand we're dealt here. Same could be said for HypHypHyp, but they can buy up into this round.
This is turning into a hell of a game, but it feels much more of a slow burn instead of the frag fest that we saw on Haven. Vitesse actually peeks the wrong way, misses his opportunity to get the frag onto Law, but it's first blood that comes to HypHypHyp on this attack, actually. So they've got room to breathe. They've got to make it happen, though.
Certainly very true. Bora hasn't quite hit that flank. That's really what it's done so many times. Nice boost with the wall. They just spot him over, isolate the player on the site. Mitters has to fall back now. Strike towards this B site, and PuttyScale watches for those flanks. Playing passive, controlling the angles, but Hip not so lucky. Traded back onto Mites, as it's now just Bora left, and you can't really flank when you're the only player surviving. It just doesn't work like that. Like, finally found their stride. PuttyScale with a triple kill, operating that middle of the map beautifully.
Had full control, got a frag from distance, I think onto Mites, who had the operator, right? So he had absolutely no fear, took mid control, used his utility to ward off any peaks that were coming from angles he didn't want them to, and just took those engagements. So that was an important round for them to win, and they did it relatively comfortably. But the economy's still good for Team Turkey, that they can go a few more rounds even by the operator. And ult economy is relatively similar for both sides. It's just how they get used from now.
Slowed down, they don't want the fast peak towards B, and they get spotted out as well, at least one. They have gone for the wall boost, so they have control of Cubby. And in fact, with the Omen, they can, I believe, get back up there as well, so... Perpetual control. No one's spotted out just yet, as Korea has isolated those angles. They have their outpost in PuttyScale over towards A site. Spotted the camera, I believe. It says, gets orbed again. Just slowing it down and playing it systematically, right?
And it seems to work out relatively well for them. I think the pacing of Turkey's game has been opposite ends of the spectrum. Very hot, very cold, very explosive, very we're not moving until somebody does something. And it seems to be working quite well on the defense. Turco is just taking his angle, but isn't expecting the utility. The spray down's good from Pora that comes in on the flank from downtown and out of nowhere. He's able to get the frag from behind you, Pora. The rest of the team are on A.
Oh,
You
goodness
will
me.
not
Okay,
kill
fair
my
enough. It looked a
ally.
little bit ropey there, but it's evened up yet again. The Resurrect invested as well. Korea pops back up from the grave. They'll be playing 4
I
versus
know
3.
exactly
They just get
where you
spotted
are.
out near ult depth. They'll know exactly where they are, as Cypher says. And they can control around towards that balcony, towards the
Revealing
sidelines
area.
as well. Have got the recon bolts. Not before it sends out the first wave, though. Spotted again, 2 players in, Empress activated. They really want to hold on to this round. Rip looking to take ahead, but they're just not giving them that opportunity. Pushing out close, Mirroth as well. As it's Law to find first frag, Korea finds another, and they're under the balcony. Triple kill for Law. 12 rounds now, and the first game of this best of 3 is down to match point.
It's much closer now, but really, it wasn't going to be too difficult for HypHypHyp to string together 3 rounds on this attack. It's been more challenging than they probably would have hoped. I mean, look at the frag. Certainly, PuttyScale is top fragging, Hip's just behind, but Pora isn't too far off either. So I think we're going to see an aggressive push now, and the economy is going to wane a little bit for Team Turkey, but they should still be able to afford. Yeah, Rip still having the operator. Shows that they want to engage on this, and they've got to give it all they've got.
Rip feels the fringes of the paranoia. He's holding the angle. Know where he is, but has to reposition. I know he's not playing close now. They're a drop back to side Rip, though. Has repositioned pretty sharply there with the close that they have invested. He knows that they can't push straight on out, so he has the time. Clear. Again in a lovely orbital strike. That's 1 or 2. Rip will be able to
Revealing
take
area.
faces. The push is forward. He's isolated. Take it down.
Pora's going to push rather aggressively onto his cyber cage. The boost is another good one, but all of that use is kind of ineffective at the point, especially now that Team Turkey are able to get a couple of kills together and a neural theft. They'll show up exactly how that boost is played. They know where the last member alive is. Verif gets taken down. Certainly an important round for Team Turkey to win. They have no opportunities left to make mistakes now, and that's what they need to do more often.
They shut it down, but I hesitate to say it. No mid control for Hip there. That's what we saw. They all tried to stack up in B main. They all tried to push from the same place, and they got shut down. Mid. That's what I want to see more from Hip.
Mid, Hip. Speaking of Hip, he's had a pretty good game on the new agent. Has a couple of bright spells. Hasn't been going crazy, at least, but it's been consistent. And I think that's been saying a lot. He is on that heavy fragging duelist role, so needs to have consistent performances, and he's been having those recently. This is just another notch to that bedpost.
One more. They do trade it back and able to fade away with the dismiss with fear of finding another Bora. Looks for the flank, but will get shot down. Buddy Scale as well at the back, and mid control works out. Look at that, Ryan. 12 and 8, but it's soon to be 13. It seems one player left standing. Rip just rips the head off and tries to reposition. Has got heal, has got res. Might try and fall back and go for it, but look at this, a reposition from Buddy Scale. Low HP, drops the cyber cage. We'll send them around the corner. The Lear is there, but he's holding around the corner. A nice little angle, but they've allowed it onto A site. Rip with the res. Should invest it here. I mean, there's no reason not to. Gonna hide away from that dart. Now he can start to peek. Now he can start to play slow. Looking to try and turn the corner.
You will not kill my ally!
Oh, Reyna there. Reyna's come out of nowhere. Now it's up to Pora. He's the last one alive and he's 22 health. His positioning now given away. And the Sova does have Thunder's Fury. Doesn't need it though. Fearoff is going to make sure that HypHypHyp go 1-0 up on Ascent. But Team Turkey gave it a good go. And they're not out of the woods just yet.
Certainly not. 1-0, as you say, Ryan, and it's looking good for HypHypHyp. However, they did slip up a few times, and there were some openings. That's what we kind of saw from Team Turkey as well in the Haven game that they played earlier against worse players.
Right.
And so, you know, there is still things to be tightened up for HypHypHyp, but they managed to get it done in the end, and that's what matters. 1-0.
And really, they didn't miss a beat on their defense. It was just on the attack that they struggled a little bit. So certainly stuff that they can look at when they VOD review or work out stuff if they are a team inclined to do that. But really, it was just a torrid attack, yeah, from Team Turkey to begin with. Man, that's a tongue twist. I didn't even realize it until I said it. But like I said, there's still one more game to go at least in a best of 3. It's still... I'm undecided on whether it's going to be a complete blowout 2-0, but Hip looks really good there on a map that they don't often play. And I think because of that, yeah, like, there's still more Valorant to be played.
Certainly is plenty more to be getting on with. We're going to go to a quick break before we bring you the second map of this best of 3. 1-0 to HypHypHyp. They're on the verge of defending their throne, but we are going to go to a short break, as I said, and we'll see you after the break for the rest of this finals match.
Hello and welcome back. We are ready to go in this second game of the best of 3. HypHypHyp are leading 1-0 against Team Turkey, who have had bright spells, been hot and cold. I don't really know what the climate's like in Turkey as the year goes on. I know it gets very, very hot, but I don't know how cold it gets. But this performance so far has been lukewarm in some cases, at least.
I think Turkey is quite a temperate climate, if I'm not mistaken. I think it gets quite warm. I think you're right there, but it's closer to the equator, which means it has less variation, if I'm not mistaken. So, do you know what? I'll have a little bit of a search around, see if I can figure out the climate. But for now, I think the question on anyone's minds: can Team Turkey figure out HypHypHyp? Because it seemed like they really weren't finding those openings on the attack.
It was really tricky for them, you know, going down in at half 10-2. They brought it back to finish like 13-9, I think it was, or 13-7. Roughly around then, so it was like middle of the pack scoring. But that was on a map that, to be honest, not a lot of people play all that often. Bind is going to be the next map, like I mentioned, and that is the most experienced map for a lot of teams that are playing it. There tends to be a lot of strategies run. There tends to be a lot of ideas that can be done. It's not just to go out there and frag. A lot more has to be used, really, and I think HypHypHyp have the advantage when it comes to those kind of plays.
On Bind, we'll see them take this second duel, and HypHypHyp now 1 up. So it looks like, actually, I didn't quite catch. I think Team Turkey are going to start on the attack here, and I'll have to find that moment.
It's HypHypHyp that are defending first yet again. 10-2 defense on the side on Ascent. They probably want to replicate that success a little bit, much like they're near enough replicating their roster Hip's now over onto the Raze from the Reyna. Makes sense. Look at these tight chucks that Por is in currently. A Reyna grenade, something that is very strong in these tight chokes, and that's why Q-Rax is back to running it too. So pretty much the same lineups. The Reyna's now been swapped over to the Razes, so that in itself might be enough to stir the pot a little.
Change it up slightly. But the range might play a little bit of an important factor in a side pistol round, though. It'll be interesting to see how the chips fall as Team Turkey mount up towards a short, and they're stepping forward pretty aggressively. So they do manage to reach all the way through. Hip dropping the bomb buddy over the top of the truck, and spots one out, spots a shoulder anyway, seeing them push into the satchel there. Nice kills found, but not before the spike gets planted, and that crucially means they have to go for the retake. Had that come through just a fraction of a second earlier, you deny the spike plant, you deny the pressure that is granted to you, and you don't have to push in quite so quickly.
Look at the space that Team Turkey has to work with. Por is able to get a double as he peeks in for the trade. Firov could refrag a little bit more. Just Kree and Firov left to try and get the defuse in. They're going to be hit by quite a lot. Miltez is holding close. Turco holding further away. The defuse might actually come in, and Turco's walled off, so this might be really awkward for him to try and get the kill. But no, Kree's going to get it. Might be enough time. Yeah, there will be enough time to get it in narrowly. But that was Turkey's to lose, I feel. They had the map control, but they just allowed Hip to push into them rather aggressively and win out those engagements.
It looked a little bit shaky there for Korea as well. He stepped into that Molotov, took a significant chunk of damage, and then went for the trade. If Turco lands a shot there, they pretty much close it out. And I think you're right, Ryan. It was very much their round to lose. And they did end up stumbling. So Hip now. They are 1 up on the half, but it's early doors again. However, this is how we saw it start last time.
Revealing
Some
area.
info, of course. HypHypHyp being able to buy the guns. It's going to be a cheap run for Rip, who's holding onto the frenzy. Uses the aftershock to push back HypHypHyp a little bit. Korea's going to be playing rather aggressively and has to help with the owl drone to scout out more intel. But I think Team Turkey are going to give this one up and go somewhere else.
Really a pretty solid wall being presented right now. You leave that Cypher over towards short. We know how strong Betty Scale is on these holes. We saw it on that A site back on Ascent.
Cage triggered.
Through though, one spotted, Cyber Cage activated, sprayed out
Revealing
there, but
area.
for some reason he's not able to land it. Betty Scale not able to hold it just yet. Paint Shell, however, is going to be popped in. Not before the spike gets planted, but look at the damage found on the attack. That's a lot of low HP bars there. With no save on the roster to hold them up, the might does not go their way. Rip able to find one, but they get cleared out. Just one standing, and it's all the way down A short as well. They'll know exactly where that is now. Last back goes out wide. Oh, that's brutal. Hit executes with the judge.
The Judge Dunk. You love to see it. Ferov's going to be getting the ult charge, his team allowing him to do it, so...
Sign him to the Globetrotters.
Yeah, I mean... it was the Harlem Globetrotters. It wasn't much else. It was just a lot of BM and good play. Team Turkey looking closer, at least, getting the plants in, which would be pretty good, considering they were on a bit of an eco that round. It's a good sort of start, but they need that firepower, and they're going to get that now. Hip is going to keep hold of the Judge. It was nice towards the end of that round, but might catch him out if he's trying to fight from distance against a Phantom. I know how that's going.
2-0 found on the defense. And once again, they mount up. This is an interesting,
My camera is
interesting
destroyed.
decision. Pretty Scale dropping the Cypher, the trap wires
Revealing
towards
area.
A site, and then rotating to help on B as they push out B long. It's a nice set play for the defense. It seems to be paying off. Law able to have that opening, and with the opening being closed in window as well, they just shut it down. And this is by the book stuff coming through from a HypHypHyp, and it's reading out exactly as it's written.
You just seem to have that experience that I feel it's like, we know how this plays out. We know what to do here. And it's very similar to, I guess, how T1 played it. Certainly with the hip, not specific to the hip, but the Raze in U-Haul. It's such a nice anchor point for the rest of the team to rotate on. Q-Rex is just going to make the solemn trudge forwards into dangerous territory. And really, it's finding those engagements, leaving the spike completely alone, and just trying to make it frag. It's something right there that Pora tries to do, but it can't be replicated much more.
They are trading it back and forth, and it's now 3 versus 2.
I have the spike.
Have the spike, you're right, Raze, but unfortunately you've only got about 20 seconds less than that now, as Hip still has that judge, but Turco's ready and waiting. Spike gets planted, and now it's 2 versus 2. This is doable in the post plant. They've got the Redstone available as well. The Raze is there. A lot of zone denial. They haven't invested that utility already into the round. Fearoth scouting out, checks pocket, checks cubby as well. They know that those angles are cleared. They fall back, allows them to line up, but Pettiscale can't quite find the head. Fearoth checks Baths, but he knows they're both there now. He's wary and lands the shock. Nicely done to find a lot of damage. Will spot one, knows the beat's coming. Last pack up. William heard it. No. As it falls back down. 8 bullets left in the Vandal, but playing super passive now. He's going to go for the half defuse. Last pack up to the top. Goes to the trade. Fearoth lands the headshot, but doesn't have time to get the rest done. HypHypHyp, clear house, but it's Team Turkey to find the round.
Look how different this is overall to Ascent. They were more like decisive rounds for either side, really just taking chunks out of each other. These are really now in between, and that was so well played from the surviving members of Team Turkey to make something out of seemingly nothing. Held their nerve, got the kill onto Hip, opened up the A site and dealt with the dangerous retake with all of the intel that Sova and co have available to them. They bought enough time, they took engagements when they needed to, and that was really, really good from Team Turkey with how they played that.
Cover going
I'll
out.
have to try and convert it though. I mean, it's quite a few times these rounds go awry. A spray
I have the spike.
thing as the Owl drone
I dropped the spike.
doesn't quite pay off, not just yet. And it's round number 4, so all these rifles can be bought in.
Beaten down. Fearoth getting the frag. Pushes down B long, which is a big place to take away from Team Turkey. And they are forced to give that up. They don't want to just push Hookah on its own. They need to have some leverage on B long. So they have that in toilets if they're heading onto A. That's a great way to wrestle out the control of this site. Pettiscale has got a very keen eye on it.
Tripwire destroyed.
Will be spotted out by the Owl drone, drops down, will be spotted out by the recon bolt, cannot stay in the same spot, goes for the aggressive beat. It says just about ready for that. Spots out the spike carrier. Is able to get the kill as well.
Got the spike.
Finds 2 now on the defense. Pick the spike back up, but without the Sage, they don't have that wall to invest. They can't just push onto this site. They don't have the smoke cover. They've used all of those earlier on, and whilst it's faded, that's pretty much it. Fearoth finds a third. He's playing towards the heaven, and now 1 player is left standing, has the orbital strike, but really nothing much else going for him. I don't think Turco's going to be able to get through. Goes through the teleporter, but there's still a player over on B site. It's Law. Unfortunately, there's no time. He's just going to go for the save.
It's come in, I suppose, with like these mind games and how much the game is slowed down, right? Like it's not just fragging out like crazy. It's more like 4D chess that's happening in front of us with how they played that. Even just surviving and keeping the gun is so important right now for Team Turkey, but Hippo went against them quite well when it comes to these slow mind games. And like I said, Bind is the place where you want to see the team play the coordination because it's necessary. That's why I don't really like playing it when I'm playing ranked, just because you need that like team play to really make something happen, most certainly on attack. And they're getting close, even getting a couple of rounds, but Hip are showing that they're well aware and ready to go against that.
You know, there's someone in Bath as well and close because that bolt got destroyed. Turkey, but they're really not going to be able to do too much of this. Interesting. Okay, they haven't gone for the split 3 over towards B, and this time Hookah is under pressure. B window gets taken control of, and it looks like the opening has been found. However, Pettiscale has rotated in, and he spots 1 out. Hunter's Fury is in, but try and drop the Skystrike. Sees 1 dropping down from Hookah. As Mitez tries to open it up from the back, but Pettiscale shuts down a second as they try and push towards the B site. 58 seconds, but they can reposition into this round. They have got the time.
Good and running to Law as they rotate around. He's going to get the frag. He completely fluffs his lines. He had the lineup and everything, but couldn't get the shots in. They're still going to push along B, but Fearoff is there to try and meet them. It's just timing right now on getting that frag. But that's a gun that Team Turkey have available to them. Whoever's donning it needs to be better prepared, and Pora is.
I know exactly.
HypHyp are falling apart a little bit here.
And they're trading out the weapons as well, as you highlighted, Ryan. That's a second rifle found now. Skell made his way towards
Shadows.
Hookah, but they're going to full teleport over towards A. Kriya, though, held nerve. We'll be spawning out. At least one of them. They headshot the one. They line up and they're going side to side. Serpentine there. Showstopper is in, and they haven't got the spike planting just yet. Don't think they managed to do it, and they don't have time either to get it down on the floor. The clutch comes through, but his Skell stays alive, and that's all he needs to do.
Petty Skell was like, I'm about to head out. he just runs away from the site when he realizes how. But this is insane. I haven't really seen any games play out like this. It's so down to the wire. The spike not getting planted again for Team Turkey the second time today. And they had the man advantage there and pulled something out of nothing completely. So the economy for HypHypHyp, even though they won that round, can't be all that sharp right now. The majority of Team Turkey, that survived, able to keep those guns, take it forward with them, and really have a good go at this next round. But Hyp still have the lead.
Here.
That they do. Fearoff peeks out.
Bomb buddy out.
Goes aggressive. This seems to be where HypHypHyp are finding success. Going aggressive on the B site. Fearoff looks to open it up, but they overinvest maybe over onto A site, but the fast rotate comes through to back up B. Hyp's coordination on this defense, quite frankly, is phenomenal. They've been so on the ball. They've been gathering all the information they need, making sure that they're making these smart rotates. So even when these pushes come through, you can see they're already 3 on this B site, despite starting out as 4 on A. And of course, it's so close to rotating in, and it's paying off hugely for them. Spike makes its way on, but it gets shut down time and time again. Rip taken down, and that's a 5th round bound from Hyp.
Without a dent that time, it wasn't as close, certainly. And it is just like you mentioned. You see HypHypHyp on the defense push aggressively on the A site. They go, coast is clear, they're on B. And that seems to be the case. And really, it felt like it was sunk costs, maybe, for Team Turkey. Because they realized that the majority of HypHypHyp were waiting for them. And they still attacked on B when it's like, oh, they're over here. Maybe we could bait this a little bit more and head on over to A aggressively whilst they're not there. They just sort of fell into the hands of HypHypHyp's defense there. And without a dent, HypHypHyp can really take it apart.
Bomb buddy out.
Send the bomb buddy through the teleporter to try and scout out and put his Skell. Will sneak across. In fact, make his way into the teleporter, courtesy of that bomb buddy. So now they have control here, and if they get stopped on the A short, they might indeed try and jump through. In fact, that might be what they're looking to do. As you can see, the spike is dropped over towards the short. They are getting displaced. Paranoia comes out, but he's close enough. Turco lands the headshot onto Kriya. Despite being blind, he was in that range. Bora, though, not so lucky. Bomb buddy, blast pack, sorry, over towards the top of the truck, and Kiras nails 2 headshots with the Sheriff.
Spike planted.
The mechanics of these guys are pretty crazy. It's just the decision making in some cases that have caught them out, but you certainly can't fault them for how good they are when it comes to the shooty gun.
Okay.
Qrax is now rotating all the way around. Petty Skell knows that they're there, so this is going to be a way to stall them away. Fearoff is the only one making it on the site. Is delayed. Never mind. It's just going to be Petty Skell now, forced into the corner. And a really nice round for the Turkish team to take. And again, with very little guns. They are magicians at this point, it feels.
Certainly does. They are doing a lot of work, but only 2 rounds found for it. They haven't had the greatest success yet. That's really their downfall at this stage, is that they aren't converting those small openings that HypHypHyp are giving them.
It's going to be a pretty interesting end to this half. Team Turkey found themselves a little bit, feels like. But Hyp are doing the same play, even using from the shadows to scout out a lot of info. But look at this push on toilets from the defense. It's leaving mid open, so they need to be careful that they don't over dedicate here. But certainly now that they are trying to out wherever Korea is, they could easily flush him out if they're not careful. But right now, Hip are pushing on A, so again, they know it's going to be B.
Fearoth, though, will spot out the pick towards B. We'll shut down Pora. Fearoth gets the shot over towards B long. Holding B site down has been really the highlight for Hip's defense right now. A site a little bit weaker. They're giving over a lot of ground and they're relying on their retakes there, but it seems like there's an iron wall over towards B. It's going to be tested now, however.
Prepare for
Trying to
hell!
oxidize it, rust it away as there comes the orbital strike and the paint shell towards the back of sight, completely displacing Petty Skell. But if you try and fly out the window like that, you're going to have that movement and accuracy, and that's where they land their headshots. Can't quite hide in the corner as well. They will spot you out, fortunately though. They are going to trade it back and defense shut it down again. That's what I was talking about, the iron wall of B site.
And it feels like every time that Team Turkey go to B site, it feels almost reluctant. It's like, oh, we need to go B. I don't want to do. I don't want to go there, and they just run in and die. It doesn't seem to work out really well for them. The Hip have it under control there. I think Team Turkey just need to bait them a little bit more. We haven't seen them throw a bit of utility towards B, maybe even get a frag and then rotate to A. It feels wherever they gravitate towards at the start of the round is where they go. They are gravitating towards A. They're going to execute on A. That seems to be their complete definition of their playstyle. It's definitive.
They've made it work for them pretty effectively. Leaving one player over towards the A side, one player
Off your
pretty
feet!
close to Bath as well, so they have two players ready and waiting to spot it out. Does finally go down, but pulls the paint shell out. Mises finds two. The opening is found, however, the Hunter's Fury just has enough range, not quite able to tickle them hard enough. Three players now on the retake for Hip, and this is what I was talking about, relying on those retakes off the A side, Ryan.
It's a really good cyber just to mask.
Your duty is not
Execute
over.
coming in. The Resurrect is going to bring Petty Skell back. Good shout, considering he does have the neural theft. If they can get a frag, they are slowly overtaking the A site. Korea's indecisive of whether he wants to push to U-Haul. Never mind, he does it all in one go. That's going to be his fourth. So many ultimates now dedicated to neural theft and the showstopper, but Petty Skell denies Korea the ace, but explosive there. By his timing there, just rushes for U-Haul and kills everybody in there.
They have their game plan and they're sticking to it. It's working out. Team Turkey need to find those openings. This is looking to get on track for a repeat of the last game. And of course, with Hip being 1-0 up in this best of three, that's not going to go their way. Not to Team Turkey anyway. They'll have to find something that they can get done. They found it twice. They just need to try and capture that lightning in a bottle.
That's a very difficult thing to do. I think Team Turkey have shown themselves up in really good spots, but times like this, they're just being outclassed and outplayed individually too now. It's not just team playing coordination. Overall, it's just how these agents have been played now. There's a lot to hold off and get first blood.
Spraying just down through the smokes without the Sage Wall there. It's really impractical to try and get this just fast push on towards the site. You can see why. They're just getting sprayed down. There's no cover here. They're just getting displaced so many times. Over towards B they go for the fast play, but you know how much success they found on B site. Luckily, Bora has his wits about him. Able to turn around 180 on Twitty Scale. Spray downs coming through to try and stop the plant, but it's not going to be enough. Wasn't quite in the right location. Full retake. But one of the very few times they've had to retake B site, but we'll see how they're able to fare.
That just looked like a pixel perfect lineup for Loy. He's reloaded, still got the shot in. Like, Horror gets the third though. And it's a 2 versus 1 now. Turco has control over window, and Fearoth seems like isn't sure that seems the case with the operator battle. Turco just needs to buy his time there. No, he spots it and misses the shot. Oh, that's a big round to lose if you're Team Turkey. They had that in the bag. Fair for the operator says, nope, it's still our site.
It's going to be pretty tricky to take
Turkey
that
shouldn't have
one.
lost that.
Yeah, it's pretty tricky to take B site, as I say. Like even once it's wide open, you're just gonna really struggle to take it away from Hip. They know that site like the back of their hand, and it feels like, in a similar way to the last map, Turkey's attack just is not there. It's not finding those openings. It's not capitalizing on them when they appear, and it's not even able to convert it once they have the massive advantage of having that post plant with a player up.
It feels that the multi-kills that they get and the crazy frags tend to happen after they've lost a couple of people maybe, so they never really get to start on the right foot. They always just try and bring it back from the brink, but the damage is already done by then. There's only so much that they can realistically do. We need to see them get first blood, get a couple of kills from Nats, go from there. And Hunter's Fury is going to be their attempt. Vitas is getting the shots in, but finds absolutely nobody. No damage is really going to hit.
Oh, Hip lines up to, Aura lines up to for himself though, activating the trap wire. Vitas looking around for it, will be stuck out and actually fully revealed. Easy pickings to fear off, and it leaves 2 players standing. Now drone out, spots the player close under heaven, but there's a little bit of a boost coming in from Pora. It's traded 1 for 1 now. In a 2 versus 1, it's only 1 player standing for Team Turkey. Pora wanting to try and find it, but his scale shuts him down. And they should be able to stick this defuse. Nicely done, nicely done. HypHypHyp remains strong, 9 and 2.
It would suck for Team Turkey to go down 10-2 in this half too. There's some really nice spells, Pora especially with the triple kill. Like, he seems to be able to do that, but that's what I mean. Like, it always feels like he's the last one alive and brings it down to a 1 versus 2. Really, it's hard to say if there's an individual that's holding Team Turkey back at this point. I think it's just more that there's very little weak links in this Hip lineup. There's mistakes, sure, but nobody on this side, going, oh my god, Fearoff is having a terrible game. Everybody seems to be doing their role and doing their job, and it's hard to punish that. Team Turkey getting close, but the scoreline really doesn't suggest that.
It's been pretty enigmatic for HypHypHyp on how these defenses are working. But they're working out nonetheless. And they go 2 for 1 across the map on the trades, and that's not a bad thing this early on. I mean, even though you do sacrifice Fury, you get revealed. It's just so fast that they are on these rotates, and even with that advantage, Pora just gets shut out, and it's falling apart again for Team Turkey. They're looking down the barrel of another 10 and 2 half.
And that shouldn't happen. They had man advantage, they dedicate neural theft, and then they lose a player. That's like mistakes that you should really keep on top of. And look at the playstyle now from HypHypHyp. Just very passive, anchored sites. They don't need to worry about the rotation, but I think if you're Team Turkey, you need to be careful that you don't run into this double peek towards elbow. Hip is going to push ahead and try and find out anything. Pettiscale's got the camera to spot it as it comes in. Even now, Team Turkey have a bit of an advantage, but I still feel like HypHypHyp are going to win this with a double peek here.
Paint Shelter try and isolate the back of sight. Zone them some ground, some sort of foothold. It's just not going to go their way. They get shut down on the push as Pettiscale lands 2 real quick headshots. And 10 and 2 on the half. We've been here before, Ryan. It didn't quite go as smoothly on the attack for HypHypHyp last game on Ascent, but this time around, we'll see if they're able to make it happen a little bit cleaner. Remember, they are 1-0 up in this best of 3 already to hold on to their throne, so they only need 3 more rounds to make sure that that is going to be the case.
I mean, I hope it turns around for Team Turkey on this defense. They're stuck in 3 on B. And Spike is headed towards A, so I'm interested to see how they play this now. The defense of the Ascent was decent, but much like now, they have to protect themselves from 3-round losses. That's difficult to do no matter what map or side you're on at all. So they've done as much as they can right now, and they need to hold off the near impossible, it feels like, to at least bring this to a somewhat of a closer game, because right now they're running away with it.
They certainly are. It's not been pretty for Team Turkey. Now the attack not even looking for these shots. Rick finds first place on the hit though, and this is how you want it to start for Team Turkey. However, Fearoff allows them on to that A site. They do have that Sage Wall as well, remember. That gives them a lot more power, staying power on this A site, but instead they're opting to plant right at the back of site. This is This is interesting coming through, but the retake is coming from short, and it's going to be perfect for them. They can hold it down like it's defense.
Yeah, they flipped the sides. That's basically the play. And look at the space now that HypHypHyp control on this attack. They've got somebody in heaven, they've got somebody in U-Haul, they've got somebody in toilets. And all three of them are going to keep this triangle shot in, and even the spray is good enough through all of the smokes. Relatively easy work to clear that off, and and it's quite likely that Hip win this next round, considering Team Turkey now are forced to eco, it puts them on match point.
It'll be very tricky for them to find those openings, get those pistol shots in when they haven't been able to do it on the gun rounds. And I like what Hip did there in the post plant. It was move towards the back of site and play it like it's defense. They know where their strength lies, right? And it is in the defense side. So the more times they can make that happen, the better chance they're going to have. Hip back on the judge, and he's going to maybe try and dunk on some more fools.
They got to play aggressively. They're going to rush into Petty Scale. I think he's well aware that that's something that could easily quickly happen. Right around this corner, see how this one meshes up. Doesn't spot them. It's a spray down. It's a shootout. Petty Scale should have got more, really, if I'm being honest. But still not bad to get the double kills and get refrags for it.
Yeah, I mean, when you're that close, it is very tricky to get more than 2, 3 if you're lucky. And getting half an HP bar is really quite strong, and it's going to allow Hip to have a little bit more impact this round. However, Spike gets planted for Hip over on the B site, and Law boosts himself up on angle. Will find one, finds a second as well before he's taken down by Rit as well. Will get himself a Spectre, but there's a wall in the way, and there's not really too much time to be getting through it. They'll be down to 12 and 2 with 3 players to get through. I just don't see this happening, Ryan.
What a disaster it's been for Team Turkey. It being on good form. I think it's really snuffed out the flame that has been the way that Team Turkey like to play this. And at this point, if I was similar describing HypHypHyp, they're just styling. Certainly with how Law took that game. Well, he just sort of ran up, put a wall up, and then was like, beat me, guys. Come on, bring it. And he still wins out the majority of the engagement. Match point now for HypHypHyp. Tournament point to retain that crown. And it's fleeting, to say the least, for Team Turkey. There's an opportunity. They have big guns coming in. No ultimates, though. They need a prayer and a bit of luck on their side to bring this back. It's going to be a long road ahead, though. It might be snuffed out almost immediately.
Certainly has got a way to go, but HypHypHyp on the precipice of holding on to their crown. Currently 12 and 2, a 1-0 up in the best of 3, so could all come down to this. Everything to be invested from here on out for Team Turkey, and if the last rounds have been anything to go by, then it's really not going to be so easy for them. 3 players over on this A site ready and waiting for this push. There's a stack over towards A bots, and this signifies that you're pretty committed to this A site at this stage.
Cover going out. Steal the sight.
He's going to make his way in for all of this utility, sets the site up perfectly. He's like, this is beautiful, this is hard, but dies straight away, so clearly wasn't that good. Shooting shots for Team Turkey and they're holding on.
They are going to be able to find a second as well onto Hip. It is traded back and forth, but 3 players alive to make that, as Law is trying to echo in kind. Spike has not been planted yet, and it's down on the site. Rit traded yet again, and now it's just Pretty Scale who will be not long for this world. Mitzez does get shut down towards the back of site. Spike doesn't get planted. 12 and 3. They'll start it off again. Is the comeback real? Not so sure.
Just need to get 10 rounds in a row now, Team Turkey. I believe in you. We've had some nice player performances, I feel like, this lineup. I think everybody's shown up and done some quite cool stuff, just not specifically on this Find map, really. I've certainly been impressed with how Q-Rise is playing on the Rays. Poor as well. Certainly looking to be one of the better ciphers, Eastern Europe way at least. But it's West Europe in France that's holding on and going to retain the title as things stand, at least.
Shock dart.
It'll be tricky to say the least. Shot darts being popped in early for Mitzez. So he won't have them as they continue to push in. Paint Shell will isolate the back of site and it will force Mitzez into this fight. He'll have to turn the corner, play a little bit fast, makes his way inside the tube and stays alive for now, but that's it's not going to last so long as Hip move on forwards, and Law with the Sheriff pops them into jail. Unfortunately, Turco's ready and waiting around the corner. However, they found their opening. They found the B site, and HypHypHyp dominating this site when they have it.
Just 2 remaining members now left. The spike is going to come in relatively uncontested. Hora's all the way on A. It's just Qrax trying to stop things as they happen and is putting a stop to it to an extent at least. But now all up to him. Oh my god!
Oh, no way. Lines them up. 2 goes down.
Oh my god!
1 super low HP. Paint shell is going to be popped on out, but it's the Vandal to win it out in the end. A 4K from Qrax to keep Turkey alive in this best of 3.
That was like God himself just completely took control of Qrax and like, move over noob, I'll show you how it's done. That was insane. Like that play, like the 5-second shoot down was something on the levels of like Hiko's clutch. Like that was some hell of Valorant.
Yeah.
I can't even speak. It just was so like unlikely. Like, all right, that's it. Oh nope, never mind. He gets a 4K within like 4 seconds.
It was pretty nutty. It was
Okay,
pretty,
let's get set up.
pretty solid stuff coming through. The question is, can they rely on just pop-off plays like that? I don't think so. For a solid what? This is 8 rounds straight they need. Consistency is so much more important, and we haven't seen that yet from Turkey. It was their their defensive side though that won them so many rounds over on Ascent to bring it to overtime. Able to find a similar situation here with the Marshall. To make both of the cyber traps. Law just continues to go for it. Up over the top, will know there's a player in the corner. Will land the shot, no refrag to be found. But the teleporters do come through as well. The B site now being moved towards Putty Skell, holding close with the Bucky in the teleporter room. Will anyone follow them through? That's the question. Graves is thinking about it. We'll go through, and it's immediately shut down.
Oh, he tries to get more. He tries to get more. They know exactly where the last 2 defenders are. Some really smart play from HypHypHyp to just dip their way over to the B site with Team Turkey pretty unexpected. They're now surrounded, but they're all in front. There's a good opportunity to create some space for oneself, and Hip gets hit by it. It's opened up a bit more as a 2v1.
There's the bomb buddy though, trading himself out from beyond the grave. 5 HP on Turco. Last player left standing does get spotted out and know where that spike is. They have control of it. Hunter's Fury just to secure themselves the round, and HypHypHyp make it happen. Might be thrifty, but 13-4 will be the final scoreline here. 2-0, HypHypHyp maintain their throne.
I think it was expected, that result really. Team Turkey brought it back, but I think if you didn't catch this match and you see the scores on Wikipedia, you go, all right, fair enough, that makes sense. Team Turkey, though, I think gave it a really good go, certainly in the latter end of that map. That 4K was phenomenal, and there's been so many like bright spells for that team that we saw during this, so I think if you're watching EU, you definitely keep an eye on their games. They're exciting to watch, and you can't help but root for them as underdogs. Certainly Twitch chat has been rooting for them. I wonder why, but it was great to watch them. It was great to see them in this tournament, but I'm also kind of glad the Team Hip can hold on to that title and make sure that they have that level of consistency, because we just haven't seen that from them. So it's nice to see that they're evolving and fending off some pretty strong curveball-y kind of teams.
Yeah, it was pretty dominating though, and that's what coordination can get you. I feel like in the second half of Ascent they were just kind of trying to style it out, and it wasn't sort of their best foot and their best performance. You know, you can be lulled into a false sense of security, and I think that's kind of what happened there. But in the end, they do come out on top, and the better team wins the day, and we'll see what more of an impact they can have into future tournaments.
I'm more excited to see Team Turkey rise up. Like I said, they were a show matching team for G2, full of a lot of, I assume, streamers and content creators in that region. Of course, I don't know myself because I don't really watch Turkish streamers, as you can imagine, right? It's like what I like to do in my spare time. But yeah, like both these teams, like the EU scene is strong, they're evolving, and I think just Team Hip played with confidence. They played the G2 event, some of them even won it with Korea, and they're just riding that high, and they believe in their own ability and just want to get picked up, I feel, at this point. Show that they are a worthy team that is worth an Endemic Org's time and investment.
Absolutely. They are certainly ones to watch out for. But that is going to be it from us this week for Take the Throne. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We've obviously seen HypHypHyp able to take control and keep it for another week. Will they be dethroned? We'll have to wait and find out. We'll see you next.